Da 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 da. West Side Story. That was one of my favorite plays back when I was in high school. You know, good choreography. The acting was the bomb. The story, the love story within the play was the bomb. It was really, really good. But they didn't say anything about, I'm going to steal Social Security numbers to work and put everybody else in jeopardy. Because when you do that, you're putting somebody else in jeopardy. Taking their credit, all of that kind of stuff, just to work real hard. Mummy puppy. I want a better life. Wrong. No respect for that. But I remember there are people that always wanted to come to America. The Mexicans or Guatemala, they're not the first. It was, and West Side Story is Puerto Rican. So they always wanted to come to America and have a better life. Well, one thing that America, it is a privilege to get welfare. It's a privilege to get housing. It's a privilege to be able to steal Social Security numbers. Because how do you get work? People said if everybody went home, we'll have a crash with the mortgage. No, you won't, because half of those mortgages are illegal. How did you get that? With whose Social Security number? I'm disappointed because I really wouldn't have thought that people would do that. I'm real kind of not smart when it comes to immigration. I'm not. Each and every day, it is surprising me of how people banned the refugee ban. After the world trade, after actually seeing it happen, little children were on the bottom level, a nursery. Those buildings came down upon them. I don't even think some of the parents ever found the remains of their children. And they'll say they're waiting for students, foreign students, to come here. So they cut the president down for that. Those students it is a privilege for you to come here. You don't have rights. Which he should start trying to fill these other spots in the courts, and they got to drown the ninth court out. I don't know what other thing they're going to do about those judges that did that. Because if anything happens, and even if they let them go, that's not going to bring the lives of those people or children back. They have to be vetted and checked out before coming here, because they come from places that you can't background check them. There's no background. So they have to be vetted. And it's going to be done. Then I noticed they're doing raids. I don't know what raids are. I'm not going out today because I don't want to be in the middle of that mess. Those protesters and stuff are really getting, and when we get on the trains now, it's smelling like piss and doo-doo on a consistent basis. You know, there's always been homeless sleeping on the train, but not smelling the way it's been smelling. So are they letting the people sleep on the trains? Because half of the people that are working with what Social Security numbers are letting them get away with it. And this is how it's always been, but it's not anymore. Yes, sirree, buddy. This governor here, he is out of his mind. But I read and I thought, he's coasting everybody up, and taking signatures. We're going to be an independent state and all that, but you have no money. And the state is in the red big time. You have no money. I don't know how many times do you have to say that. And then one of the state legislators or whatever, one of the state senate, he's on the Senate and he's Mexican. He's not very smart because he stood up and said that all of his family was illegal. That they all took Social Security numbers. We have to do what we have to do to survive. That's what he said. And still you have Americans that support that, including the blacks. I'm trying to write something about ISIS, the African fable, not the ISIS killing people. It's ISIS, and the man's name is OAIS, and it's the story of the virgin birth. And I keep reading Egypt, that it originated, the fable originated in Egypt. And it bothers me because the first time that I read it, it was a village in Africa where that story came from. And that is the fable that they took and put in your holy Bibles about the virgin birth. So I was just looking for that because I want to write something. It's a surprise. But I was doing some, kind of doing research, so I go to the African Museum. I've always wanted to go inside of the museum. I went inside of the museum and all Hispanic. The woman had them at the receptionist desk, all around the receptionist desk. So, I'm very outspoken. I asked her, why would you do that? This is a total turnoff, and it was a little Hispanic girl learning. She was training her. And I thought about the little boys that I just passed down the street, and the little girl flipping signs, going to do T-Mobile, and they flash the sign to the cars that need a job. But you put a Hispanic, and she yelled at me, an older black woman, of course. She says, well, the state of California would see is discrimination. I would discriminate that little girl to the back. You don't put her in the front. What is wrong with you? Because her people would never do that for yours. This is disgusting. I'm just totally didn't even want to go inside of that museum anymore. She says, well, the research department is in the back. So this is it was disgusting. I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to tell you that she should have been in the back, not in the front. We should be greeted with Africa. But there's no place like that here in California. She is an example of how the African American, or whatever they call themselves here in California, are. They will back them more than backing their own. And they're all in the back. So I didn't find out the information I wanted. I'm going to have to call one of my friends that may know about it, because before I write this, I do not want to put Egypt at all, and that's all I'm finding in Google, and I don't believe everything in Google anymore. So moving on, that's my experience at the African Museum. So if you're ever here, don't go. It's one black girl says she had went through it. They had pictures on the walls. There's no statues or nothing like that, and their research library is really small, and I was scared to go in there, because if you would do something like that in front of your place, what will I find in your research library? What? All of them are like that. Pan-African wasn't all that great. You see people coming from here and there, but I was volunteering with them, and I had a horrible experience. And some of the actors and stuff that come have a horrible experience. I don't know. They have a lack of love, of self-love here. And I think that they only love the Mexicans. I mean, they took over everything over there. When I first went over there 2 or 3 years ago, the little park was mixed with some Mexican, and you would see some black. Now it's all Mexican. So that's not somewhere I'm going anymore, and there's no place to go. I wanted to go to the reggae festival for my birthday, and there is no place for me to go here because I am really tired of seeing that, and I don't like to entertain that. And that's not how I came up. Chicago used to be better. But I see y'all got that Raphael. How in the heck did y'all let him be mayor? And there's tons of illegal people there. Gangs and drugs and all that kind of stuff, and they're blaming it on the little black gangs. That's not the only people that's starting all that. There's the people that's bringing the drugs in. And you don't even want to go there. But I know that the museums in Chicago are not like that. I hope not. Unless they have changed. These young people, if the young people take over, then we're lost. Because see, these young people weren't even born with the World Trade. How would they know about terrorists anyway? They know nothing. And that global idea was a bad idea to implant into young people. Everybody should be proud of who they are. And who they are should come first. If you're German, if you're whatever, you should stand tall for your culture. Not blacks become Mexicans. Well, if you're watching this blog, this is one sister that will never, ever, ever be anything but an African American woman. I have a lot of pride. Now, I'm really sorry about the raids. I really don't know. One lady got raided and her children were there. And really what surprised me, did you know that when you were stealing Social Security numbers? And did you know that when you were having babies over here? 14th Amendment don't give you that right. But most of these people, just like these judges just did this travel ban, they took laws and made it to fit them. In order to be a citizen, for that baby to be a citizen, those parents have to be pardoned by the United States government. That means asked to be here. If that did not happen, those children are part of their parents. So in most of these raids aren't separating the families. They need to go too. Go with your parents, because that's what country they came from. It could be Africa. It doesn't have to be Mexico. It could be Africa. It could be any place else. Wherever their parents come from, that's where they're from. And that's what's going to be as long as President Trump is in office. They stole that and padded that law. And it cost America a lot of money. There is no such thing as anchor babies unless the parent was pardoned into this country. United States say, come in. Not just running over across the border, stealing Social Security numbers. And I'm really on that, because when you do that, you mess up somebody's credit. You're hurting an American. Somebody is hurting because you stole that Social Security number. It's against the law. So it took 9 years to lock that woman up in Arizona. So America is going to change and go according to the law. That's all. And if that law does not say it, just like what they just did, that's all right. They're going to regret it. But those laws have to be straight to the law, the Constitution. You can't change the Constitution. Nobody changes the Constitution. So, one way, you're not being separated from your families. Why are those kids still there, is my question. Why didn't you put them in the truck too? It's really bad. And if you come to California, it's the most illegal state ever. They do nothing according to the law. They fixed it and shaped it and molded to what they want it to be. But United States always knew you were doing it. Always. You know, while you're sneaking and having your mummies and puppies and all of those different people, the whole line, everybody's Hispanic. You were cheating and robbing, and you were telling this person and that person. When you were doing that, they already knew. And now, today, they are tired of it. Now, California had enough nerve to ask for some money, $100 billion for their infrastructure. Who's going to sign that? They don't have no money. I said, if it were me, I said, yes, I'll give it to you, but give me all of them. This and this has to be gone before you get your money. That's what he's going to do. He said he's going to use it. He didn't lie to you. He said, I'm going to use it as a weapon. So all of those people working on the infrastructure, which won't be working there anymore, because they're going to be training these young people that are running around here talking rights and they should be trying to get a job. And infrastructure is an open field. If I was a young woman, I would be so up into that. I'll be in school right now for infrastructure, because those jobs are going to be a dime a dozen, and they're going to be the well-paying jobs, especially here in California. If somebody wants to be, documented that they call it, if they want to be, I would get into something with infrastructure, and they will let you in. Because then you're in a field that's going to, bring in money. I mean, going to help you, and you're going to help them. You're missing the point. But the other way, you ain't going to win, because it's old, and they knew you were doing it in the first place. All of these townhouse meetings or town hall meetings and stuff like that, it ain't going to help no more. And it's going to start making laws on you protesters. A lot of you are going to end up doing 10 years and 5 years in prison. There's a way to speak your voice, a First Amendment, like what I'm doing and blocking. But then there's another way of blocking people's cars and trying to hurt people. And it's time for you to go to jail. It wasn't right for you all to steal and manipulate and try to manipulate the United States system and then think they don't know you're doing it. All these young people. That little girl, she needs to go with her mother because she's not a citizen. And that's what President Trump, he told y'all, they need to go. We're not splitting them up. They need to go with them. Because that law is the law now. You being born here, it's got to be more. That woman would have had to been pardoned first for you to be a citizen. So go home. Or go to war. One and two. Because there's not going to be no DACA or all that stuff keeping, and you get a green card or what. I don't know what that was. There was something that Obama did. And it's not going to be any of that anymore. But what I think, if infrastructure, it could be a limited of a percentage. Don't let them override the American children. But to give people a chance to maybe study infrastructure and have good jobs and bring money into the United States. Because what people don't know, once you go back to Mexico, you can't come back here. And you can, there's a way if you want to be documented, you can, but you're going to pay a lot of money. A lot of money. Somebody's everything was jeopardized. It could have been an elderly person that couldn't take care of themselves or whatever. Took their social security numbers and used them for your working and then telling me that you're hard working. They knew you were doing it. Now the thing is to see, you're not going to get away with it anymore. Things have changed. California is broke. It's in the red so much that they can't do nothing, succeed, try to break away from the United States. That's actually, you said, hey, take them because you really ain't no good no more. You ain't going to get no money. No matter how much you hate President Trump. If you hate him, that's okay. Who cares? But you ain't going to get no money. You need money to operate in this world. So hate them, if you want to. Be blind if you want to. Or just leave if you want to. And this being here in America is not a right. It's a privilege. Have a good day. Ashe.